and he has so many good stories. So let's get it rolling. And then as people started to join, I just quietly put them on here. So just give an introduction as I usually do. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fireside chat. I'm Renata, the founder of REKONNEKT, and I am super excited to having you all here today. So REKONNEKT is a community of high performance people. So founders, entrepreneurs, executives, investors, business leaders, people who are curious, driven, and open to learning and committed to becoming better in every season of life. We come together through movement, growth, and real human connection. And these fireside chats are one of the ways we share stories that inspire us and push us forward. So during the year, we host live experience across Europe, hiking, cycling, or skiing. And in between these moments, we have the online fireside chats, which is a way to keep our conversations alive and our community connected. So today, we welcome someone whose story is shaped by bold decisions, deep curiosity, and a rare ability to turn uncertainty into advantage. So Luis Magon has moved through worlds that usually do not speak to each other. Engineering, mathematics, investment banking, private equity, venture capital, entrepreneurship, jiu-jitsu, triathlon, and surfing. And in every turn, that's a lot. And in every turn, he has chosen the path where risk is not an obstacle, but a teacher. He has lived inside trading rooms where every second carries weight. He has been at board tables where choices define the next decade of a company. And now he's building something that merges innovation with passion, bringing world-class wave pools to Brazil and reshaping how we experience performance and flow. Let me get Denise in here. So this conversation is about risk, learning, reinvention, and what it takes to stay human in a world transformed by technology and AI. And it is also about what happens when you follow the inner pulse that says, there is more to build, there is more to learn, and there is more to live. Luis, it's a pleasure to have us here. Welcome to REKONNEKT.
Thank you, Renata.
Let me put here in the spotlight so everybody can see you. Luis, let's get this started. Let's just accept here a few more people that are on the lobby. So let's get this started. Poor things, already sweating. Tell us a little bit about your story, just to give a little bit of context to the group, and then we crack on in all the sequence of the adventures and risks that you've taken through your life. So walk us through a little bit all the crossroads and your first steps in the beginning of your career to where you were to, just like an overview, what was happening inside you.
Okay, thanks for the invitation. It was a pleasure seeing you. And after this introduction, I'm very honored and nervous. Not sure if I can live up to the expectations, but thanks again for the opportunity. Seeing some of familiar faces here, also great. As you mentioned, I started as an engineer. I studied electrical engineering in PUC here in Rio de Janeiro, where I met my beautiful wife over there, Renata. And at the beginning, I really thought that I would be a full-time engineer. I never thought about going to the financial market. It was never something that made sense for me at the time. And I picture myself more as an academic. So I did the engineer. Most of our friends at the time went to the financial markets, most of them, but it wasn't something that really connected with my essence back then. And after I finished my college degree, I went to study mathematics, and I happened to choose a path that brought me to the financial market because I started studying mathematical modeling through financial markets. So it was pretty much derivatives, options, and most of the people that studied there with me wanted to go to asset managers and investment banks working with risk and quantitative models. And then I started to getting connected with this world that were pretty much new to me. And I really digged it and thought it was very, very interesting. And by the time I was finishing the master's, I had the opportunity to go to join a bank that now is called BTG. It's the largest investment bank in Latin America. Uh, it has a world footprint in Europe, in Portugal, but it was nothing like that over 20 years ago. And so it was a local investment bank, and I went there, and the world changed everything for me because my parents, they are public servants, and I came from a background where you study a lot, you have good grades, you choose a company and you work 30 years, and things happen slowly and organically throughout the path. And then I saw myself in a very uh, fast moving structure, a vibrant culture where everything happens fast. There are a lot of money moving around. There are a lot of bright people working there. So I looked sideways, I looked up. I always saw very competent and bright people that inspired me. And so it was like a love at first sight. I was working like 15, 16 hours a day. I almost ended my relationship at the time. I put everything else from my personal life aside. I used to surf a lot, do jiu-jitsu. I ended it everything. So I was just working and sleeping and eating. But I really liked the culture, and I was learning a lot, and it all made sense at that time. I was 20 years old or something, and was loving it. And I did that for working this way for over 10 years. And then I can talk a little bit about that movements later. But in Pactual, when I started, and I was talking to Renata about that, I entered as a sell-side analyst for the broker house. So pretty much what I did, which was a great school, but pretty much what I did was writing reports on stocks and recommending our clients to buy or sell their position. So it was a great learning school because I get to interact with very bright and sharp people that they actually had their portfolio and the ability to make the decisions. My job was just to tell them based on what I was finding out what they should do, but I didn't make any calls and decisions at all. So it was a great school. I learned a lot, but I kind of got frustrated at some point because I wanted to be able to make the decisions. Because if I write a report recommending a stock, you should buy whatever stock it is. You should buy BTG shares. It doesn't pretty much matter to me at the time if it went up or down. It didn't change it that much for me. So I felt that I was not close to the action as I wanted to be. And then and that was one of the great things about Pactual. The culture allowed you to have a lot of mobility. So I understood that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do anymore. And then I moved to become a portfolio manager. So then I flipped sides and became the client of the for my former position. And then it was super interesting, but even tougher because then I start taking a lot of risk managing the bank's money, making a lot of wrong calls, losing money. It was super hard to handle my emotions at them. It was hard to sleep. Sometimes wake up in the middle of the night, really anxious, because I was with a lot of money invested in a stock that wasn't going the way I expected it to be. So it was super hard, the handling all of this. And I, I wasn't practicing sports at that time as I did when I was a teenager because I was working a lot. So it started to make a huge toll on my personal life, on my health life, on my
The
mental
health.
health. Exactly. I could not see that at that time. There are a lot of people around me pointing and highlighting that, but I personally could not see that. I didn't saw that as an issue. I was doing what I like. I was advancing my career, but I was it was having a huge toll on me personally. And then I decided to make a move that it was the ones that changed pretty much everything to me. I decided to get closer to the action even more. And because as a portfolio manager, it's even though there are a lot of things going on, a lot of risk, something that I relate to and like, I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting on the side of the table, running spreadsheets, looking at numbers, and making decisions if the people that were running the company were making good or bad calls, and if I wanted to invest on them or not. But I wasn't doing anything. And then something clicked, and I said, okay, I want to go to the other side of the table again, and I want to be more close to the strategic decisions. I want to make long-term calls. I want to be connected and involved in the process of making things happen,
So,
instead of being here judging what people are doing.
so Luis, tell us a little bit something around that time that I think is very interesting, which is you were an analyst and then you went to the operation desk and then you went closer and closer to the action. You were already having a lot of anxiety and a lot of an emotional toll into that time. You stopped surfing, you stopped doing jiu-jitsu. And although you want to get even closer to the action, right? So although all those things are happening, you were still wanting to get even one step further. So um, actually, I have two questions on that. So the first one is, how did you carry that weight without losing yourself? And the second one is what that after taught you about what you should do. So, how did you manage your emotions, especially in this period, and the sacrifice that certainly it involved from changing these positions?
But I did lose myself, Renata, in the process because the person that I was in the beginning is not here anymore. I changed a lot during the process. Some things for the best, better, others not. But I was changed during the process. And what what happened, and that I would say was the best decision, regardless of working and everything. It was the best decision looking at the long run, and you were a true inspiration at that moment. Was that you convinced me to not let go my personal life as I was doing and to reconnect really with the sports. And then I decided to try triathlon, which was something that you were doing at the time. And really was something that I never read any relationship at all. And I used to follow you and see what you were doing. It was inspiring, but I never picture myself doing any of those things. Never. So when I said, okay, I have to make room for the sports because this is gonna be a mental therapy for me, and the sports that I did as a teenager didn't make more sense for me, for surfing, for instance, and we can talk about that later on. Surfing has a lot of external situations that impact the quality of what you're doing, because there are you depend on swell conditions, you depend on wind conditions, you depend of how many people are surfing, how the floor of the ocean is. So there are a lot of situations that you cannot control. And I had like so so short, so little time available to doing anything at all that it didn't make sense to go surfing. I would invest a lot of time and energy and go get to the beach, and the waves were just not there. And so when you strongly recommended me to try something else, it made totally sense. And actually, there was a learning that I would say it was even more important than everything that I experienced in the work, because when I start doing triathlon, I start going for small rides, going a few mountains near my house, and then I start going, maybe I can try to run a little bit or swim a little bit. I saw that there was a process involved in all of this. There was data, there was intelligence. And sports for me, up to that point, was just fun. Had nothing to do with the process. So when you recommended me to go talk to Walter Tucci, and I start seeing, oh, there is spreadsheets with what I got to do. And I have goals and volumes. And I know, so this train, you got to do faster. This one is slower. This one, whoa.
When you see the spreadsheet, it conquered your heart. I said, "Oh yes, the spreadsheet."
Yes, totally. It totally clicked. And I said, okay, so this is something that I picture myself doing, and then it become like an addiction, because I was working a lot, but then I had like these goals that I would say to Renata, okay, so we were for like 10 years, all of our travelers, every holiday, we would choose a place based on a competition that was happening there. So we
That's a
choose
classic.
competitions,
Yeah.
and then we would like prepare for 6 months, and then we went there and I'll try something new. I'm gonna run a marathon in Patagonia. Gonna go climb whatever. So I did that for 10 years, and I was loving it. So at that moment, what I learned is that the process is very, very, very important. And this is something that I learned in the bank as well. Because sometimes when you are taking risks in a very uncertain environment, you are never sure about the outcome. You're never sure. So what you can do is prepare yourself a lot for what you think you will face, and with preparation and experience, you believe that you can make the right decisions, but you're never sure, and things never doesn't always happen the way you anticipate. So you kind of learn to get in love with the process and to trust the process and to know that the process is the most important thing. Because sometimes people are usually driven by results. So when you see a good result, you intuitively believe that, okay, so this person did everything that was supposed to be done in order to achieve that. And it's not actually, most of the time it's not how it happens.
100%.
So yeah, so for me the process is the most important thing, even though sometimes I miss a lot, but I never underestimate the importance of the process. And when I start doing triathlon, it all makes sense, because if you don't grind, if you don't put out the work, if you don't do what the spreadsheet is telling you to do, you're gonna go on the day of the competition, you won't be ready. You won't be.
Yeah.
And again, you can do everything, go to the competition, and something happens, and it's not how you expected. It happens a lot. But if you don't do your part, for sure you probably go wrong.
Yeah. What do you think? So, in your identity, right? You said in the beginning that you actually, the person that is sitting here now is not the one from back then, right? So, what do you believe in your identity that changed when you moved from being an observer to a creator, right? So, in your work, from just sitting there, receiving your, taking some risks, but not too bad, to then having to create your own thing, right? What would you believe that shifted on you to? Okay, let's go for more risks.
I think it was getting in love with the process totally. This is something that I carry to everything. So when I decided, for instance, to go, I started surfing again. So I did like the triathlon for 10 years because of you. And then I did a few Ironmans, half Ironmans, marathons, whatever. And I was always very goal and process oriented. And then I was training for another Ironman, and I got involved in a car accident. It was nothing, was not bad, but it could have been. I was hit by a car that ran through a red light, and I don't know, something clicked, and I just could not do it anymore. My wife was pregnant with our third kid at the time, but then the mindset was already there. I was already a different person. So I said, okay, I will not go back to the person that I was. So I have to fulfill this space with something else. And then I decided to reconnect again with the sports that I did as a teenager, but now with a different mindset. So I went back to surfing, I went back to jiu-jitsu, but not seeing it just as fun, as leisure, but as a process oriented thing. And then I went to jiu-jitsu and I said, okay, so I'm gonna do competitions and I'm gonna do strength work, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, mobility, yoga, whatever. And then I eventually went up to get a black belt, and I do a lot of competitions and things like that. And for the surfing, pretty much the same. I would schedule a surf trip to a place that was challenging, and would do the work the previous months to be able to get there. So I went to Indonesia, I went several times to Hawaii, I went to Nazaré two times, and so this is how I've been doing for the past few years, is surfing, jiu-jitsu, but with this mindset of setting goals and grinding the way in order to be able to get there ready, to at least try to face my fears and challenge myself.
So, do you think, Luis, that when you get into this mindset that you risk so much and that you want to challenge yourself so much, then everything else that you do in your life kind of follows, right? So, when you choose a sport, you're not going to choose just a sport. You want to do something that challenges you, that take you to that, into that next challenge for yourself, right? So I think that many leaders, right, they fear actually risk because that looks chaotic, because there is a lot of chaos in taking risks. You seem to like it. Right, to turn this into an advantage. So in your view, what separates, in your opinion, reckless risk to strategic risk?
I I gotta say again, it's the process totally, because uh, if you understand what what you need to become in order to do what you want to do, and you break down back to the competences that you need to develop to be there, to be calm during those situations. It all made sense. For instance, Nazaré. And actually, I'm going to talk about Nazaré later on, but Jiu-Jitsu. I would say that Jiu-Jitsu is the environment that you can train that the most. The most common situation that you can find yourself in Jiu-Jitsu is someone trying to choke you, and you are in a very, very, very uncomfortable situation. And what usually happens to me when I'm in a situation like that, I want to get out as fast as possible. And I will tap, I will give up, take me out, I can breathe. And so my teacher always taught me that Jiu-Jitsu is finding comfort in discomfort situations. So instead of, when you train that, you put yourself in that spot over and over again. Someone is choking you, and you are very uncomfortable, and you start, okay, this time I won't tap. I will try to improve my position just a little bit. I will see if I can find a space to breathe more, or I don't know, turn a little bit my body, or find a way for my knee or whatever. I'm gonna push him a little bit and see if I can find room for something. And when you add up those small movements, after a while, you get in a very different place from where you were being choked. Sometimes it doesn't work every time, but if you try to make those small movements, it compounds and eventually can bring you to a place much better than you were, or eventually you become in a dominant position that you could not see when you start doing those small movements. So what Jiu-Jitsu taught me is stay calm, breathe if you can, and start making small progresses that you eventually add up to something big. So when you are surfing, for instance, when we are in the financial markets, when you make a decision that it's not working the way you thought, the first reaction is to become emotional, nervous. I start sweating, I have difficulty sleeping, and I learned that is the time that you need to stop doing anything, reconnect, try to understand what's happening, try to see what is the next small thing that you can do to improve your position. And sometimes it's not even at work. Sometimes I say there's something happening at work that I cannot handle. There is not a solution now, but if I get up in the morning and go surf for an hour, I will clear my head and I will get back in a better mental position.
Yeah.
So that is the mindset that I changed throughout these years, and that's why I told you that I'm not the same person as I was, because I would not face those situations like that. And Renata knows that. I would get very anxious, very nervous, and I try to solve it, and I would live through this situation very intensively. It would impact all the aspects of my life. So take a step back, breathe, and say, okay, so what's the small movement that I can make that will eventually lead to a better position?
Yes, no,
I think that there is a passage for Bill Ackman that he says something that I really, really, really connect. He was telling about the moment when he was facing a huge problem at the investment firm that he had, losing a lot of money, going through a divorce, and everything, every side that he looked, there was problems there. And he says exactly that, and I truly, truly believe and understand. He says that I would get up every morning and say, okay, what is the one small movement, improvement that I can make today that will lead to something better down the road? And he said, so you do this 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, you don't see much change, but after 3 months, 6 months, you are in a totally different place. So yes, I truly believe that.
Yeah, it's the compounding, the 1%, like the little bits.
Totally.
Luis, Dave here has a question that actually hooks into a question that I was asking you. He put here, are you applying any trading techniques to your sport risk taking? And hooking into this question, I want you to tell us when you went for the first time to Nazaré and you were sitting on your board and then you looked at that 70 feet wave coming towards you, right? And you need to surf it literally, right? In all different ways. So go back into Dave's question. There was anything, what was going through your, how did you put that in perspective and dealt with that situation, that risk, right, that you were taking in that moment, which translates from your work to then your sport risk taking?
Totally. I mean, the trading and the surfing, they kind of connect because the market is throwing you. Buffett used to say that the market is throwing you balls every day, but you don't have to hit them all. You can choose the ones that you think are better for you. It's the same things in the ocean. So what is interesting is that you start to develop like this pattern recognition once you start doing this over and over again, and you kind of anticipate the information around you, and try to have like this mental model where you see the wave coming, or the price is moving, and try to anticipate what you think may happen. I was never a technical trader, just buying shares, believing that it would go up or down. But once you put out the work, you understand that you have a fundamental understanding of how things have value, and you see those movements, and then start taking risks because you have done the work, you know what you believe, and sometimes the price does not reflect what you think is the real worth of those assets, and then you make movements. And the same things in the ocean. You are out there, you are ready, you know that you know what risks you are willing to take, and when you see those formations coming and aligned with the kind of situations that you believe and know that you can handle, you go for it. And just talking about Nazaré, it's interesting this process of evolving, because when I went to Nazaré, I went 2 times to Nazaré. The first time I went there, I was super scared. I trained a lot. I prepared myself a lot for the challenge, but when I got there, everything was way bigger than I expected. Everything was bigger. So every movement that I did, I was overwhelmed by everything that was happening outside. For instance, I went to the jet skis at the docking station, and when we went offshore and start seeing those waves coming, I got really scared, even though I was prepared for that. And so when I was with a few friends, and a jet ski driver that usually drives for me here in Barra da Tijuca, but he knows the place a lot. But I was the first one to go out, and so we were supposed to be there for like an hour and a half, and then he would come back and pick another one and go back out again. So I told him when I got there, I was so scared that I told him that I did not want to go to the water. I said, let's just ride. I want to feel the energy. I want to see what's happening. I'm not ready to commit yet. I want to have more information. And then we start riding all the way around. And eventually, after like 40 minutes, I said, okay, put me in a wave. But I was super scary. I was super nervous and very conservative, and I did not enjoy I did not enjoy at all. I lost my board. It went to the cliffs. Uh, the day after, it was even bigger, and I was very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And then I was not familiar with the equipment. So this is something about the risk that you're asking, Renata. For me, taking risks is directly connected with putting out the work and being prepared for the situation. And even though physically I was prepared, everything was new to me. So I kind of felt that I was not familiar with the situation, so that I did not feel comfortable. And it's interesting because the jet ski usually tow you into the wave, and it gets back and it tries to follow you from the back of the wave until you fall or get out of the wave to pick you up and bring you to the outside again. So, and the wave and the boards there, they're very different, because when you surfing is like the whole physics behind it is that you try to pedal and get to a speed where you match at the speed of the wave so you can get into it. So as the wave gets bigger, it gets faster. So you need to pedal faster, or you won't be able to get in. So the waves get the as the wave gets bigger, the board gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But what happens is that with the jet skis, you can generate speed in a short board. So it changed the whole game. So now, when you go to Nazaré and places like that, if you're going with a jet ski, the board is very small, very small. The board that I ride in Nazaré in 50-foot waves, the board is smaller than the board that I ride in a 2 feet wave here in Rio de Janeiro. It's crazy. But what the shaper has to do, they put a lot of weight on the back of the board, because the board needs to be heavy, so it has momentum and you can ride the wave. So just as an example, my day-to-day board probably has 1 to 2 kilograms. In Nazaré, I ride boards from 7 to 11 kilograms. It's super heavy, and I never use one of those boards, so it's very different. It's a very small board, very heavy. And then when I was going the second day, when the waves were bigger and I was going down, those heavier boards are very tough to turn. And then I did a mistake. I could not turn fast enough to put myself in a safe position, and I got hit by the wave. But again, I was prepared. You have those inflation suits that you can inflate the vest, and it pops you up. So I was not held under for a very long time. But then it started the problems of being in a situation where you are not used to, because the jet ski that was towing me did not see. He did not saw that I fall, and he kept following the wave, even though I was way back there. And when he saw me and turned back to catch me, there was another wave coming, and I knew that he wouldn't have enough time to pick me up. So he came through me and said, "Be calm. I will take you on the next one," and left me there. And then, like, there is like a 3-4 store building coming on your way, and you have nowhere to go.
Chill out.
Yeah. And then I make a decision that seems very smart at the time, but I would never do it again, because my inflation vest was inflated because of the wave that I had just fall off, and I got scared about deflating it and having to inflate again. So I chose not to do that. So all the pros, everyone there, when a situation like this happen, they deflate the vest so they can go under and get away from the impact that happens on the surface. They go under and try to get back again. And if not, inflate the vest a second time. You have four, most vests like that, they have four cylinders.
Opportunities.
So you can,
yeah.
so you can, it's like the cycling
The
cylinder. The same
CO2
one.
from cycling.
Yeah, it's the same one. The same one. It's a little bit bigger, but it's the same. It's the same thing. You have four of them. So, but you hear all those stories when you get there about, oh, I tried to pull it out, it did not work, the wave was too strong, and even though I pull it, the wave crashed the vest and deflated it. So you hear those stories, you get a little bit anxious. Everything is new, and so I did not deflate. And so it was the worst decision that I ever had because I did not go under. I was dragged by the white water for like almost a kilometer. And that for me, it looked like it was forever. And I could not breathe because I was turning in the white water. So it was probably like 20 seconds. But for me, it was a very tough situation because I thought like I could not breathe. I couldn't see where I was going. There were cliffs and rocks everywhere. So it was very, very, very anxious situation. So I got back. Everything was okay. Nothing happened, and then I got back to Brazil. And then I was talking to my wife because I promised her that I would go to Nazaré only one time. So it's like a check thing, and that's it. So when I get back, I told her, I don't know, I don't feel like I did it the way that I wanted to be done. And then I was I didn't talk to her about that at that time, but I knew that I would go again. And then I started preparing myself to be able to face those situations in a more prepared situation. So I invested a lot in equipment, changing equipment, testing different vests. I start preparing myself a lot for the takedowns, breathing a lot. So you asked me about AI. What I did that is that I used AI to help me develop a breathing protocol. So I had the mental belief that I was prepared to be held under for many seconds. And then I started doing that every day. I would get up or before sleeping, I would make some breathing exercises and then try to hold breath for as long as I could. And then I went this year again, the beginning of the year, and it was totally different. Totally different. I felt more confident. Nothing that was happening was new to me. I saw from a risk perspective, even though the waves were bigger than the first time, I felt more confident, more prepared. So I did the grinding, I did the work, and trust the process, and thought I was ready to do that. So I think I will share just one photo. Let me see if I can.
See if I can. Okay. Dave, you can ask him the question that I put here in the chat while he's trying to share.
Can you see it?
We can see a lot of pictures, like all the pictures.
Yes, so surf pictures. So let me see it. So yeah, this is the.
If you just double click, I think we're gonna see. Yeah. And
So this is this is like a 40-foot wave. From the outside, it looks even bigger because inside you cannot see the full wave, but
What is the
This,
noise? The noise of the water. It's just like,
you can't hear anything. So this is you are driving so fast. I was like 60 kilometers per hour this wave because the clock you can see it. Let me just show you another one. This is a wave this year that my driver was able to take me on time.
oh
So
my God, it's
this is
like
the
a,
way. This is the wave similar to that last year where he was not able to catch me, and I was pounded by this white water up to the beach.
wow.
So Lewis, when you're doing that sort of surf, can you explain what the feeling is like? Because I think I put in the chat, I've only ever managed an 8 second stand up on a 2 foot wave. So
It's
what's the
pretty.
feeling like?
It's. I like the adrenaline. So the adrenaline is crazy, but I gotta say, the feeling of riding a 2 foot wave is as good as riding a 20-foot wave. I mean, the feeling of being able to paddle and get into a wave and see the energy and moving, it's unbelievable. It's I even prefer. I prefer smaller waves, more fun. Though the whole process of riding those big waves, it is you don't feel comfortable. It's hard. Whole it's because I really like putting myself up to those challenges, uh, but uh, but it's more like an adrenaline thing. But the feeling of riding smaller waves are much better.
But Luis, I think this is so good because this is such a great metaphor, a great way to translate where sport and business they interconnect, right? Because the bigger you want to go in business as well, the pressure, the preparation, all of these increases with that. And sometimes the fun gets out of it because then you have to be um it's like the big wave thing, right? It's like if you're not spot on in your preparation on the timing and everything, the fun bit, you kind of started to go into that other side, right? Which is not so much fun, right? So it's almost like there is a point that you can grow to a point, and then after that, the fun component, you may as well lose it, right? Because of the pressure, the responsibility, and the parts that you cannot control, right? Out of that that situation, I think. So
Totally.
I have a question for you here. Although we are getting to the end, I want to actually my last question, so then we can, if somebody else wants to ask something for Luis. I had so many, and we can be here for 2 hours. We need to do another one, so we can go more towards your investment component,
Always a
which is
pleasure.
yeah, which is also amazing. So for everybody here on the Fireside Chat, Luis is also investing in part of the biggest wave pool in Brazil, right, Luis? And
Yes.
this story alone is for a Fireside Chat just about it. I think. Did your passion for surfing crossed path with your, now being in the other side of the coin as being a investor and a venture capitalist to invest into a surfing pool?
Totally, totally. I, I was there yesterday. I was visiting the construction site yesterday, and it's huge. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I don't know. I always heard sometimes people say that follow your passion, do something that you loved, and that was something that didn't make much sense to me because I thought that you should do what you are good at, and then the recognition and the advancements that you eventually will have will fulfill you. But being able to um, start a new endeavor as I am doing now with something that really connects with my essence, it's different. So it does not feel like work. it really doesn't. So it's something different. But you asked about this move, this change, and one of the things that the things that I learned in the process, one of the things that I needed to change also, and I was doing that yesterday with the whole team. We are doing an offsite in the construction site with the whole company. From being an engineering and a mathematical with quantitative backgrounds, what I had to develop and change was all the soft skills that I didn't need it when I was investing or making portfolio decisions. For when I changed it to start working at board levels or now as a founder, entrepreneur, because it's all about the people. Everything's about the people. And I have like a very good friend who is a serial entrepreneur, and he says something that I really believe. He says that being a CEO is about inspiring hearts and minds. So this is something new to me. I'm always like straight on, black or right or wrong. There is no in between. Used to be like that. And so I was yesterday with the whole team, 20 people, visiting the construction site, talking about the goals and the OKRs for next year, and trying to make everybody understand the vision and buy the vision of what we are doing, and to make sure that we are all pedaling the same direction. So those things were new to me back then. I would say that nowadays I feel that this is much more important than other things.
That's awesome.
It's all about connection.
It's all about connections, and 100%, 100%. I am with you, Luis. Last, so I said it was the last, but it's not. It's the second last. For someone here in our community that feels a desire to make a career shift or to start their own business, or they're founders, they want to start investing into something, but they are afraid to take the leap, right? They are with that hesitance. What is your advice? What would you tell them?
What worked for me is that try to learn as much as you can about what you are trying to do or what you believe you want to do, so you can make that decision or that movement more prepared. And nowadays with AI, it's even, I would not say easier, but you have a tool that can help you crunch vast amounts of information in a very efficient way. So I don't know, but I have like I talk daily with with my ChatGPT here. So every time I'm trying to make a movement into an area that I'm not comfortable or that I do not know a lot, I ask for advice, and it usually helps.
It's crazy. AI
Totally.
will make people braver.
Of course. For me, it happens. I was able to go back to Nazaré and feeling more comfortable because AI
breathing protocol.
Do a breathing protocol.
That's
so
awesome.
It wouldn't. I don't think AI will change who you are or your mindset, but it will make you more efficient.
Give you more information.
Yes,
Dean,
totally.
go for it. Ask.
Thanks, Renata. Thanks, Luis. Very entertaining and really a good mindset of how you sort of approach things. I sort of had the fortune of working with Twiggy Baker, who did, maybe you know, world sort of big wave surfer. And he had one simple thing, and I think it comes to your point of someone that isn't a professional surfer, but has gone through that. And his I wrote this down because it's one thing that stuck with me. He said, don't, as a pro surfer and guy that's doing it as for his bread and butter, he said, I don't overthink, and I trust my talent and instinct. So he's obviously had that process, and he's gone through what you've had to sort of go through to achieve. But as a professional, he's sort of run the course, if you know what I mean, and they've actually processed it in the same way that you are. And then my second one is a question for you, is going back to your accident. You're a very analytical person, and a spreadsheet clearly is the way. That's something that can't be put on a spreadsheet, and it can't be sort of forecasted. You know, do you have a worst case that you always work towards, like a preempt in the way that you achieve it? What if? And how does that process go through in your end result, if that makes sense?
Perfect. Great question. Thank you. And yes, I would say that the breathing exercise, the breathing protocols, and the preparation, the physical preparation. But one thing that I do a lot is try to anticipate in my mind the things that could go, bad, and try to visualize myself in those situations. So if it happens, it doesn't feel like it's something totally new. So okay, so what happens if I'm on that wave that Burley was 2 days ago? I'm on that wave and I got hit and I'm held under for several seconds. I try to picture myself, say, okay, I'll be calm. I'll not try to waste the energy. I'm not try to make a lot of movements that will eventually not work, because you cannot fight your way through a 40, 50 wave foot wave. So what I will do, I try to stay calm, I try to conserve energy, I try to let the energy dissipate, and then I will find myself a way up. So I would say visualization. And this is something that my wife is a yoga instructor. And when we start doing that a few years ago, she kept doing, but I stopped. There were a lot of visualizations in the process, visualizing yourself achieving what you want to do, visualizing yourself, imagine if your leg is hurting, visualize something good happening, the energy flowing, things like that. At that time, I gotta say, I thought it didn't work, but it does work. So try to anticipate the situations, and the what ifs are important. So what if the vest does not inflate? What if, and for instance, I had the 2 times that I went to Nazaré, I had a second jet ski doing security, because I thought, okay, well, so what happened if the guy that is supposed to pick me up falls? So I have to paddle my way back to the beach. No, so I'm gonna put a second jet ski, and then so yeah, to try to imagine all the worst possible scenarios. So, and doing the connection with investing, and this is something that I learned in Pactual with with the partners that taught me back then, when I had like this beautiful spreadsheets showing that we can make a lot of money with an investment. They will always ask, so what could go wrong? If this not happen, where are we going to lose money? So that was the main question. They're not worried about what could go right. They're always worried about what could go wrong. So yeah, totally. You have to be prepared for what could go wrong always.
Excellent. So good. Any other question? Actually, when I organize events, Luis, I do that. I always work around. I work backwards of what's the worst case scenario. Started to build from there,
Totally.
not to be pessimist, but to be prepared, right?
Totally. And it will happen.
It will,
It will
yeah.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. You cannot anticipate everything. So what you can do is put out the work, be prepared. So when things happen, you know what to do. You know that you are ready, so you can stay calm. But things will happen different from what you expected.
Yeah, 100%. Any other question? If anybody hasn't had one, I have one more for you, Luis. A regret, a risk you regret not taking.
I regret a lot. and usually it's holding back from a few situations. I went to Felipe is here. We went to Hawaii together this year, and we were able to. There was one day that the waves were a little bit bigger, not Hawaiian bigger, but was a little bit bigger, and I was able to surf Waimea, which is an iconic beach that I always picture myself going there. But the first time I went to Waimea, I was so scared about all the stories and everything that you hear and read about the place that I did not catch one single wave. I went there paddling. I let several waves pass by, and I went out paddling. And the process of renting out paddling without getting one single wave, I was pounding myself. Saying, come on, man, you are ready, you were prepared, do the work, you came all the way here and you did not paddle into one single wave. I could not believe that I did that. So yeah, it happens a lot. So, but normally my mental process is like the first time I go to a situation, I got scared. And I try to just to be there, to breathe, see what's happening, understanding how the water is moving and how the people are interacting in the place. And then I said, okay, so now I think I can go back again and try another time. So
Yeah,
yes, I'm conservative usually.
yeah. You're looking for the perfect, right? For the perfect
Yeah,
thing, and then you do nothing. It's the usual saying, right? It's better
yeah,
imperfectly done than perfectly undone, right? So you don't do anything because you are
totally,
waiting the perfection to happen. Luis,
totally.
it's so good to have you here. I cannot stop asking you questions, but we have to go soon because we actually are up with the time. But just put in your investor and your VC hat to give us this last one before we go. If you could only invest in one thing in the next 10 years, what would that be? That is
For
not a
sure, it would
surfing
be.
pool.
No, yeah, no, it would be for sure AI related. No questions asked. But again, it would be AI related, but it would be people oriented. So the thing about venture capital, and when you make those investments that are long term oriented, the one thing that you cannot miss is the people. It's number one, number two, and number three priority. So choosing the right people in a environment that in a AI environment that can make a big company.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm doing
Perfect.
that. I'm doing that now. Not the wave pool. This is like something for that I truly love. But at Supera, we are investing in a lot of AI companies, and Brazil is different because we are not like doesn't make any much sense to invest in deep tech here in Brazil because usually those developments comes from bigger countries that can attract more people. So it comes from US, comes from China, comes from other places. But what we do have in Brazil is a lot of problems that can be solved with technology. So having good people that are using technology to solve day-to-day problems, it can become a big thing. So it's using AI to provide services. So this
Yes.
is what we are looking for. We are investing in fintechs, health techs, education. So there are a few sectors there that we do like, but most of them are AI oriented.
Yes, that's awesome. Luis, thank you so much for your time. If anybody else has another question, that's your chance. People getting shy. But this fireside chat will be recorded as well. Luis is around REKONNEKT, so if anybody has another question or want to reach out, it's possible to do that and get his questions answered. Luis, thank you so much for your time. I know it's very hard. It was very hard to book something with you for obvious reasons of everything you have just shared with us. I think your journey shows me a mixture of that you can even strategize your passion, right? So even if you're passionate about something, this doesn't mean that you just have to go and do it anyway, right? You have to put preparation and love the process. And the middle is gonna be messy, as it always is, but this is where you stick. You have to stick to the middle, right? To the mess of the middle. Thank you so much for being here today. For everybody that has been joining us, thank you so much for your time for this 1 hour of power. I hope now you go. Here we are at lunchtime in Brazil. It's just ready to go to start the day with some inspiration. And I looking forward to seeing you to the next one. Next Friday, we have our last fireside chat. It's going to be around AI, Luis. This one, maybe you're going to be very interested to join. Is with Gabriela. She used to be the director of AI for Microsoft, and she became redundant of her own job. So she has a very good story. Now she's a founder. She's no longer working for corporations. So it's and she works with AI agents. So it's going to be a very inspiring conversation for sure. Thank you so much, everyone. If you, of course, love this story, share people. This is not a secret community. REKONNEKT is here to connect more and more people like-minded like us. So share this video with your friends, with your business peers, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next Friday. Thank you so much,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Thank you.